Before we get into this video, I need to tell you guys some stuff. So the Lakers, as you guys know, are targeting Dan Hurley as their next coach. They made initial contact with Hurley and discussed to have discussions that are going to pick up in the coming days. Adrian Wojnarowski reports that the Lakers are going to be relentless in trying to close a deal with Hurley, as he's been their number one target since the beginning of this search, basically putting his big old balls on Shams Charania's forehead, who said they were zeroing in on JJ Redick the day before. And the Lakers' decision, according to Brian Windhorst of ESPN, to target Dan Hurley as their next head coach actually aligns with both what they want to accomplish long-term and the message that LeBron James sent them regarding his future with the franchise as he nears the end of his career. We all know he has 1 to 3 years left. James informed the Lakers that their next head coach would have to be one that was also a good fit for the Lakers after his exit. Quote, when the process started for the Lakers, when they dismissed Darvin Ham, they obviously spoke to LeBron about the coaching situation. From what I understand, what LeBron said to them was, you have to hire somebody who's for beyond just me. I might be here for another year. I might be here for another 2 years. You got to make a decision that's built around Anthony Davis, that's built around what the Lakers need for the next decade, not just what I need. Certainly his feeling on the next head coach are going to be taken into account, but that's the message LeBron gave them. This is the type of hire this type of going for this type of candidate aligns with that. Secondly, LeBron has praised Dan Hurley and his acumen very recently in public, especially after this podcast he did with JJ Redick. It's incredibly ironic. He did a podcast right after Hurley won the second national title in a row with JJ, talking about X and O's, talking about what he gets some creativity, talking about how he's morphed as a coach, and I do think is going to be received positively by LeBron. End quote was kind of what Brian Windhorst said on First Take. Sorry for that long-winded, but basically the reasoning for that is Hurley, who's won back-to-back national titles with UConn. Hurley's been the forefront of the coaching search, according to sources near Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. The Lakers believe Hurley will be able to maximize their young core while developing future talent. Los Angeles believes this could be the key to winning in the NBA's new second apron era, with the restrictions on roster building for the most expensive teams. Developing young players like second-round picks could be the key to winning at the high level, kind of how we've seen the Denver Nuggets do. Hurley has expressed an interest in one-day coaching in the NBA and has let the Lakers know he'd like to explore the full picture of a partnership with one of the basketball's winningest franchise. And those reports have come from multiple channels that JJ Redick likely to be offered the job after the conclusions of the finals, which he's still working as a broadcaster, and the only other public candidate we know is James Borrego. So the deal's going to have to be bigger than the 6-year, $32 million deal that he's been currently offered. The rest of the video is what I just kind of, speculated off the dome. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys think of all this?
Yo, what's going on, guys? First video in about a week, sorry. I went to Italy to cover the Adidas Euro Camp, and now I'm back. And of course, we heard yesterday I was going to make a video about the JJ Redick news, but I'd already made a video basically saying that it seemed like that was the guy that they were going to hire. But then Adrian Wojnarowski drops the bomb today that Dan Hurley's the real guy. So I've texted my LA-based journalists that I know. I've sent some messages, and I've poked and prodded around. The big guys, they haven't really gotten back to me, but the guys that I know have kind of something around it. But, these are tricky waters to navigate, first off. Right now, to me, I believe the biggest thing is Anthony Davis wants James Borrego, as James Borrego was an assistant coach during his time in New Orleans. Seemingly, LeBron James in Clutch Sports wants JJ Redick. And it seems like Rob Pelinka wants Mr. Dan Hurley. So the thing is that I think the Lakers... all right, so basically there's a clip that somebody just said, when you hear about the Dan Hurley news and you hear about that the Lakers have had this internal recognition that the NBA has changed and you can't just chase stars and expect instant impact, that you actually have to build something. And they're acting, that's the major change in mindset, is that they have Dan Hurley as their guy. And the thing is is that I think the whole, first off, Woj, like Big Daddy Shams and Yoval Buha are like getting ripped to shreds on social media. And I know some people are acting like this could be something that blows up in their face. One person says because they're like, it's just too much noise is going on. Also, some people say Dan Hurley might not be suited to coach superstars. He's more the best of a turning boys into men molds. And I just, like, some people question if he's fit to coach superstars. And that's why it's the whole thing, like, this, the Lakers might be doing this to just, deviate because they don't want to just listen to LeBron. And but I think the whole thing we're looking here is that they don't usually interview a guy for the Lakers job unless he has a prior connection. I know JJ doesn't really have a prior connection besides to LeBron. So there's a lot of things. So let's just talk about it each. We'll talk Dan Hurley mainly. We're going to talk real quickly James Borrego. James Borrego, only coach candidate who actually has head coach experience, defensive-minded coach from the Spurs lineage, very well-respected guy. Next, JJ Redick, podcast host with LeBron, former NBA player, seemingly respected as a player and has a decent understanding of the game, it seems like. But the hiring or the foregone conclusion of him being hired has gone as a mockery. So Dan Hurley coached high school basketball. Then he coached, Wagner, and was it Rutgers before that? So Dan Hurley was a guy who he's coached up. He kind of has this like hard-nosed attitude. The only person that I could kind of like a Tom Thibodeau-esque personality, no nonsense. So yeah, Wagner, Rhode Island, I believe, is the other school that he coached at. So for them, I think he's a guy who's coached college. Yeah, Wagner, Rhode Island. He was an assistant at Rutgers, and then he was at two separate private high schools. Coached at one, was an assistant coach at the other, and he's won. He's also a guy who, to me, first off, he was born to Bob Hurley. If you guys don't know who Bob Hurley is like one of the greatest, I believe, high school coaches of all time. And his son, Bobby Hurley, is the former Duke player, 7th overall pick. So he comes from a basketball family, if you guys don't know this. And he's done a good job of developing people. So for me, when I look at this situation, I think, all right, what is the right way to go about this? I think the biggest thing is that when we look at the whole area on the whole, is this going to be the right hire to win a championship right now? That I cannot tell you. But what I can tell you is the idea that, all right, maybe he can earn the respects of the players. You get a team to, if you do put a championship team together this year, maybe it's enough to win you now. But I don't think, like, there's two ways they look at this. They either look at him as Eric Spoelstra, that he's a guy who can come in and earn the respect of the team while also being a good developer of talent, or they look at him like Mark Daigneault. All right. And the reason why I say Mark Daigneault is that a guy that I know Mark came after the Billy Donovan. Like, I think the last year with Billy Donovan was that Shea, Dennis Schroeder, Chris Paul trio, which like was not bad at all. But I think the part that people forget when they look at how that all ended up was that I don't know if Mr. Dan Hurley is the guy who's going to go out there and come into the NBA and have success day one. I think he can be a good developmental coach. I don't know if he's Eric Spoelstra or if he's Mark Dagnall, which Mark Dagnall could be a championship winning coach. We just don't know if he is or not. They're on the early stage, or is he a Brett Brown? Mark Dagnall, and is Dan Hurley also Brett Brown? And what I'm getting at is I'm not comparing those coaches. I'm comparing the roles those coaches had as an organization. Like Brett Brown and Mark Jackson's were viewed as like the developmental guys who got those players ready for the next stage for the next coach. And then Eric Spoelstra was a guy who was viewed as kind of like a protege who was going to be able to take that next step. So, and be able to win right now. So that's where I'm like, okay. And I think another guy like that is Joe Mazzulla. I guess Joe Mazzulla and Ime Udoka are both guys who were kind of like that. Again, none of those guys are coming out of college, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, Billy Donovan was a guy who came out and was expected to win right now. So you could say maybe he's more akin to a Billy Donovan. I mean, there's not really coaching precedent here being set.